Let me tell you about a man named Raymond. He was 73 years old, a retired engineer from Colorado. For most of his life, Raymond walked every morning. Nothing dramatic. 30 minutes around the neighborhood. It was his routine. Then his knee flared up. Then the weather turned cold. Then the habit simply disappeared. 6 months later, his daughter noticed something. Raymond was slower to respond in conversation. He was more irritable. He was forgetting things he had just been told. His balance had worsened. And he felt, in his own words, like the lights had been dimmed. Raymond had not been diagnosed with anything new. His medications had not changed. His diet had not changed. What had changed was one thing. He had stopped walking. My name is Dr. Franklin, and today I'm going to walk you through what the research shows actually happens inside your brain when daily walking stops after the age of 65. Not to alarm you, but because the science is clear enough that everyone over 65 deserves to understand what is at stake. What happens? Number 6, BDNF levels begin to fall. BDNF stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. A 2025 systematic review published in Brain Sciences describes BDNF as the brain's fertilizer. It supports the survival of existing neurons, stimulates the growth of new ones, and strengthens the synaptic connections responsible for memory and learning. BDNF is produced abundantly during physical activity, particularly walking, and its levels naturally decline with age, meaning that walking is one of the primary mechanisms by which older adults maintain the neurological infrastructure that supports cognitive function. When walking stops, BDNF production drops. The brain loses a key source of the very compound that keeps it structurally and functionally resilient. What happens? Number 5, hippocampal volume begins to shrink. The hippocampus is your brain's primary memory center. It is one of the first regions affected by Alzheimer's disease. In 2013, a study from the University of Maryland found that walking strengthens connectivity in and between brain networks, including the default mode network, which connects directly to the hippocampus. Physical activity is associated with gray matter volume in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. A PMC systematic review of randomized controlled trials confirmed that walking interventions in older adults produce measurable improvements in hippocampal structure and cognitive performance. When that stimulation is removed, the reverse process accelerates. What happens? Number 4, cerebral blood flow decreases. Your brain requires a continuous, robust supply of oxygenated blood to function efficiently. Walking promotes the production of VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, which stimulates the creation of new blood vessels and supports cerebral circulation. Research published in Science Direct confirmed that physical activity promotes cerebral blood flow and oxygen availability, directly boosting brain performance. When walking stops, this circulatory support diminishes. The result is reduced oxygen delivery to brain tissue. Over time, reduced cerebral perfusion is associated with cognitive slowing, reduced processing speed, and increased small vessel disease in the brain. What happens? Number 3, glymphatic clearance becomes less efficient. As I discussed in a previous video on this channel, the glymphatic system is your brain's nightly cleaning cycle. It flushes toxic waste proteins, including amyloid beta and tau, the proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease, out of brain tissue. Research has shown that physical activity, including walking, directly supports glymphatic function through its effects on cerebrovascular dynamics and sleep quality. When walking stops, sleep quality often deteriorates simultaneously, and the glymphatic clearance window becomes less efficient. Waste proteins accumulate, and the brain's primary protective mechanism against Alzheimer's pathology operates at reduced capacity. What happens? Number 2, mood deteriorates as neurotransmitter production declines. Physical activity, including walking, stimulates the release of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These neurotransmitters regulate mood, motivation, reward processing, and emotional resilience. Research published in Science Direct in 2024 confirmed that exercise affects neurotransmitter systems in the limbic system, including the amygdala, and that these effects improve mood and reduce anxiety and depression. When walking stops, this neurochemical stimulation disappears. The result is a gradual shift in mood baseline. Irritability increases. Motivation declines. The world begins to feel heavier than it should. Raymond's daughter noticed he was more irritable. She was observing his dopamine and serotonin levels adjusting to the absence of their primary daily stimulus. What happens? Number 1, cognitive processing speed slows measurably. This is the cumulative effect of everything I've just described, and it is the one that most seniors notice first as a change in themselves. Processing speed, the rate at which the brain receives information, interprets it, and generates a response, is one of the most sensitive early indicators of cognitive aging. It depends on intact cerebral blood flow. It depends on healthy hippocampal and prefrontal cortex architecture. It depends on BDNF. It depends on neurotransmitter availability. When walking stops, every one of those foundations is weakened simultaneously. Research consistently shows that sedentary older adults demonstrate measurably slower processing speeds, reduced executive function, and impaired working memory compared to physically active age-matched controls. The brain that was being daily maintained begins to operate at a lower level of efficiency. Decisions take longer, conversations require more effort, words become harder to retrieve, and all of it feels from the inside exactly like getting older. Here is the thing that I want you to take from this video. Raymond started walking again. Not dramatically, not perfectly. He started with 15 minutes, then 20, then back to 30. His daughter called me 4 months later. She said he was sharper, more present, more himself. The research is unambiguous. Walking is not simply good for your heart or your joints. It is one of the most direct, accessible, and powerful tools available for maintaining the biological machinery of your brain after 65, and stopping even for a few months has measurable consequences that the research can now trace from the cellular level all the way to the quality of your daily thinking. Before making any significant changes to your physical activity level, speak with your physician, particularly if you have joint, cardiovascular, or balance concerns. The right walking routine for your body is a conversation worth having. If this video gave you something to think about, please subscribe. Leave a comment below. What stops you from walking every day? Your answer might be exactly what someone else needed to hear today. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the